Hello, welcome to the Intelligent Technologies Live Marathon. I'm Shailendra. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us. Hope you're safe, you and your family are safe. You're watching this simulcast live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. For you to view this episode and other sessions that I run on emerging technologies live, I would request you to follow me so that you can be alerted when a live session is on. This gives you an opportunity to talk to the guest directly. So please press the follow button. For those of you watching now, please say hello, ask a question, and also let me know if you want to hear from someone in the intelligent technology space in the comment section. Okay, in the intelligent enterprises, insights is driven from data, which in turn feeds process automation and innovation. Data is the key driver behind the decisions customers make about their businesses, strategy, and ultimately their desired outcomes. Intelligent technologies is an iterative process, so it is important to have some guided outcomes ready to be implemented, giving you a good runway. Today, we will talk about one such intelligent technology guided outcome called construction in a box. And trust me, I have no clue about it. So, and to discuss this, I have with me Shenaz Bilkis. Shenaz is the Global Industry Director for construction and real estate at SAP. So without any further ado, let me invite Shenaz to the call. Hi Shenaz, welcome to the show.
Hello there.
How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Perfect, I'm doing very well. You safe? Family safe? You staying indoors?
All good. Yes, I live in Singapore, and if there was anywhere in the world I would like to live in at this time, I'm there. So I
Perfect,
feel pretty safe and things are good.
perfect. So it would be great if you start the show with and you talk about yourself, give us some brief background about yourself. That'll be great.
Sounds good. Well, before I do that, I just want to share, send a, heartfelt message that we are in a kind of an uncharted time with what's happening with the pandemic. And I just want to share that, I hope everyone watching and listening, that you and your family are safe and you have access to basic necessities. And, just hopefully soon we will all be out of this situation. So having said that, my name is Shenaz Bilkis, as Shailendra has introduced. I'm part of the Global Engineering, Construction, and Operations Industry Business Unit at SAP. I know it's a mouthful, so for short, we call it ECNO IBU. But basically what we do is we're responsible for setting the industry strategy for both the real estate and construction industries. So how we do this? We do this by working with our customers to understand the future needs of the industry, right? And marrying that with our knowledge of SAP solutions to determine where to focus our industry development. And once we have those focus areas identified, we would then work with our internal development teams at SAP and partners to deliver solutions that drive value for our customers, right? Talking about construction, we are experiencing the greatest migration in human history. 2/3 of the world's population will be living in cities by 2050.
Yep.
That's 70%, 75% of buildings that will exist in 2050 doesn't exist today. So think about that for a minute. Look around you. Double the infrastructure that you see and double it again. Right? So what this means is there's tremendous demand and growth in this sector. And with that comes increasing complexity. And that too, in an industry that have historically suffered from low margins and stagnant productivity. And unfortunately, one that hasn't been the best adopter of technology. Right? So these are massive challenges that the construction industries and construction companies are facing today. Many of which, can be mitigated with digitization. They understand that SAP S/4HANA is the answer, but they're concerned about business disruption and uncertainty about implementation cost and timeline, right?
Okay.
So with the entire construction industry lagging behind on innovations and technology adoption in general, there is that overall need for an intelligent enterprise to help transform their evolving business environment and converge, like you said, the physical and the digital by connecting people, equipment on site, and site operations.
Okay.
And
So,
that's really why, yeah, go ahead.
Srinivas, I'm at loss here because I don't understand anything about the construction industry, and so there would be a lot of people who are watching us do not have any idea about the construction industry. So when you say construction in a box, what does that mean? Well, are you putting all the construction in a box? What is it? Explain to us.
That's a good question. Well, I wish we could put all construction in a box. We're not there yet. Physically, that's also not possible, right? So when we talk about construction industry and when we talk about construction in a box, it's in the context of building works, right? So when you drive down the road and you look left and right, oftentimes you will see sites that are being built, right? You will see equipment, you will see cranes, you will see perhaps big blocks being moved, you will see boring machines, boring things into the ground. So when we talk about construction, we talk about general contractors, subcontractors, specialty contractors that execute on this kind of work.
Sure.
Right? So when we talk about construction, it's in the context of these kind of companies. And these companies have primarily worked in disconnected systems. Their data lies in multiple locations. You know, they don't have it's hard to get a single view of the truth. And that is why we have developed this construction in a box. And we've actually done it in partnership with LTI. LTI is Larsen and Toubro Infotech. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're a subsidiary of the L&T Group, and they have pretty in-depth domain knowledge from both an industry and an SAP point of view. And that's it's a partner. It's a partnership. It's a co-innovation partnership that we've developed a pre-configured templatized solution to specifically answer your question. What construction in a box is, it's a box full of solutions that are configured using industry-specific business processes that we can go and deploy quickly and efficiently at a construction customer.
Okay. So help me understand this. But before that, I must say there are 40 people watching us live. Guys, if you've got a question, please mention that in the comment section, and we will take those questions after this, after some of my questions that I've got in my mind. Okay, when you say construction in a box, when you said data in the construction industry, what kind of data are we talking about? Are we talking about the bricks and mortar data? Are we talking about employee data? Are we talking about, so there are lots of things. So are we talking, is it the IoT information? Is that, I'm confused. So please.
That's a good question. It's all data that's related to construction, and that is the whole point, right? Imagine, and construction companies and project managers who execute projects, they will understand the gravity of this. Imagine you have to execute on a project, right? And you have your project schedule, and you're typically using purpose-built software to plan that, to do that scheduling, and you're probably using things like Primavera and Microsoft, which is prevalent in the industry, and that's kind of the go-to software for scheduling. Now, in order to build those schedules, and if you're in the early part of that planning, you probably have a schedule from the subcontractor who is doing your electrical works. You will have a different schedule for a subcontractor who is doing your plumbing works, and then there is the structural works that has to be done. So there are many disciplines that we talk about, and these have to be merged then into that. You have to do your resource planning, right? Do I have the right labor? Do I have the right skills in the right point in time? And you have to make sure that your labor, when they arrive on site, they're just not sitting around not doing anything because the equipment is not there. So you have to plan that supply chain of your material that makes sure the right material gets on site when it's needed and on time. And all of that integration on the planning side is data, right? So you have to build them together. And at the moment, it's kind of sitting in disconnected systems for most companies. And then we talk about the execution of data. Now imagine, and I'll give you a, maybe a stupid and a layman example. Imagine
No
your
example is
Tyler.
stupid, buddy. No example is stupid.
Yeah, so imagine your tiler has to come and lay tiles on the floor. But in order for him to do that, the basic concreting work, maybe you've given that to a different subcontractor, has
Yep.
to be finished, right? Imagine there's some delay because he could not get the materials in time. So before the tiler, the concreting contractor comes in, right, to lay the concrete. But for one reason or the other, there was a delay in that concreting work. And all that communication, because there are two different companies, it's not really real-time visibility or real-time communication, right? Things are happening on the phone, things are happening by emails, and then maybe somebody forgets to inform the tiler that there's a delay. And this tiler comes with hundreds of tiles, right? It's probably pre-delivered anyway, but then he comes with his labor on site just to realize, well, he cannot do the work today. So what is the problem then with the subcontractor? He's just wasted time, right? Because labor is money.
Yep.
And he actually, it's lost revenue for him, because he could have actually, if he had known earlier, used this labor and put them in a different site and make some progress over there. So this kind of disconnected system and the lack of visibility on project progress is a great issue for construction companies. And the Construction in a Box has the right solution mix to help solve that, or at least to help address those challenges, right? Bringing mobile apps through execution work to bring all of that information together.
Okay, so first of all, guys, that's a great example. Making sure that the labor reaches at the right place at the right time and not waste time is a brilliant example. To the people who are watching, I must point out one more thing, that you can't get better than Shenaz in this space, because she comes from a construction family as well. Her parents used to run a construction business, if I'm not wrong.
I do.
I heard it right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would not say they can't get better. I'm sure there are people a lot more experienced and have done more complex projects. But yes, I was born into a contractor's home. My grandpa is a contractor. My dad's a material supplier. So I kind of grew up on sites on weekends with my hard hat on, trying to do what teenagers do on their weekends. Yeah, I do come from the industry, but also in my professional career, I've worked with a lot of construction companies, specifically building materials, right? Steel, cement, and advising them on commercial topics and go to market and strategic pricing. And sales excellence kind of topic. So I pretty much spent my whole career in construction.
Okay, so can't get better than you, as I would imagine. Okay, one more thing. When you're getting all of that data in one place, would you not be able to predict a few things? Like, I'll tell you my personal experience. We were building 2 rooms when I used to live in India, on the terrace, and then suddenly we realized that we ran short of bricks. Now that was someone would have planned for that, I would imagine, but I was told was that we didn't realize that we will need more bricks than what we've got. And when we got all those bricks, we realized that we had too many bricks, so we had to get rid of few. So so that was wastage for us, and no one will take that bricks back, and so we had to throw them. So how does that? So could you throw some light on that aspect as well?
Yeah, you were probably not using SAP inventory management. So if you did, you probably would not face that issue. Typically, what happens in the construction world, you always over order, right? There's because bricks will break on site, and you want to make sure you have extra on site in case they do break, and there's contingency, and then there's budget planned out for that. And at the same time, typically for the kind of projects and the scale of projects that I'm talking about, when you buy materials, there is a return clause, right? So if there's too much that you bought, and typically you did deliver extra on site, enough, but the balance the supplier typically takes back. So for this kind of big projects, that is typically not an issue. Although I will say from the planning side, what you also get the visibility on is your current inventory, right? So how much you have on site, so you don't run out, you don't come into a situation if tomorrow you'll need, or next week you'll need a certain number of bricks and you don't have it on your inventory. So that kind of visibility is there, and we've brought that data together to give you that visibility. And at the same time, the specific material schedule, like how much brick I will need, that happens further upstream, right? It doesn't really come down to that at this moment. And speaking of intelligent technologies, well, S4HANA, and that's what really the core of the solution, right? With other extensions built on the cloud, on SAP Cloud Platform. So S4HANA has inbuilt intelligent capabilities, be it around people management, be it around planning solutions. So that's already built in there, right?
Okay, so that's quite interesting. I never imagined ever that I would be talking construction in the intelligent technology space. So you actually opened,
Yeah.
this is innovation at its best. We are pushing the boundaries with getting to, do really, really practical stuff now. And so coming back to that, the components of intelligent technologies that usually used are machine learning, NLP, any other kind of intelligent stuff that we use, and also
Right.
what are the
Mhm.
benefits that an organization gets. So you've mentioned a couple of them. So it's like around planning, it's around it's around reporting, but what's more than that? What else are we getting as a result for our customers when they use construction in a box?
Right. So I would actually ask the question in a different way. I
Okay.
would not ask, the kind of machine learning or what other IoT technology we're using, but
Hmm.
I'm going to ask what are some of the critical business processes and how
Hmm.
do we address those processes there, right? I would start from the business. I would start from the core processes that run on in an industry, especially when project execution. So, and to answer that question, I would say, we start with your core, which is S4HANA, and that is a core part of the construction in a box solution.
Hmm.
And you stack on top of that our commercial project management solution, which is also part of the core, right? And that helps you do your change management and issue tracking. And these are industry specific stuff, right? And control your financial risk along those core business processes. And this is very, very important, right? Because most construction projects, I think 30% don't get only get done in time, and 40% on budget, right? So that you have 60% construction projects that usually run over budget. And it's more in some countries with different economic and political conditions versus others. So having mitigating that financial risk and having that visibility in terms of where you stand against your budget is a critical component of that, and that's the core of the solution.
Okay.
What is also important is when you're on the ground, and the things that you talked about, right? How much labor do I have on, how many labor do I have on site? If do I need more, do I need less? What's the progress of my work? Do I have the right materials and the equipment on site to be able to do that work? And all of that information we bring together from the core as well as mobile apps
Hmm.
into what we call an execution workbench. So this is a single view of your truth, right? So this gives you a cockpit of all the important indicators and KPIs that you need to be on top of to be able to execute on the project successfully, and to be able to identify risks and before they get out of control, so that you have some time to mitigate them, right? So that's really the crux of the value proposition. And the other thing I would add is, once and this is very construction specific, um, payment is a big thing, right? Cash flow.
Yep.
It's a cash flow business because contractors are not running on a big pool of money. Yeah, they're almost going day to day, paying day to day wages, and for them, getting paid for the work that they've done and within the time and in good time is very, very important. But unfortunately, in construction, the payment is not as simple as you raise an invoice and I pay you. It's not as simple as that. You have the general contractor, and he's working with, I don't know, 10, 20 different subcontractors. And those subcontractors are going to make their payment applications for the work that they've done based on the progress that they've made on the ground. And the general contractor kind of compiles all of this. There's documentation, legal, and insurance, all of that he has to compile. He has to go check stuff right on the ground to make sure it makes sense. And then once he compiles all of that, suppose you are building the house, you are the owner, I'm the contractor. I'm going to go to you, Shalindra. Hello, here is the work that I've done. Please pay me. And then you're going to say, wait a minute, you were supposed to complete my second floor by last week, but you have not, right? You haven't even started work on my second floor, but here you have asked for the payment as we have planned out, but obviously you haven't done the work, so I'm not going to pay you. So you're only going to pay me half of what I wanted. And then imagine what, I won't be able to pay my subcontractors. And all of this back and forth that happens during the payment process is all kind of offline. There is no system at the moment that seamlessly connects that all the way to your core invoicing system, to your ERP. And that is also the project paychain is a critical component of this construction in a box that allows you to digitize that entire process.
Shenaz, you've just opened my eyes, and I couldn't even believe this is happening, and we've got a solution for that. This is absolutely brilliant, and I think we can go on and on with this because it is.
We can.
And I didn't think it existed, to be honest. We've got a great job here. We're doing absolutely a great job, and this is very, very innovative. I think this is innovation at its best. Okay, before I keep on blabbering and keep on saying stuff, let's get to a use case where you work with partners. You work with clients. So have you seen a particular use case where a client or a partner has utilized or delivered a project for a client where they have got some significant benefit out of it? Now, benefit could be in terms of increasing revenue or optimizing their costs or optimizing their processes, anything that comes to mind. And please keep in mind that we've got questions lined up, and I didn't realize that suddenly we've got a few questions. So we've got to contain the time as well. So please get one of the use cases, and we'll jump onto the questions. And before you start, guys, if you've got any other question, please put them there. This is your time to get the answer from the best in the industry. Here's your chance. To you, Shenaz.
Okay. Thanks, Shalindra. So I'll answer that pretty quickly, right? So I cannot name customers, obviously, for confidentiality reasons, but categorically, wherever we have worked with our customers, they have seen an increase in efficiency, right? Because a lot of the manual processes are kind of getting rid of, right? You're automating a lot of this stuff. So there is this marked increase in efficiency and resource utilization. And also being able to then hit your KPIs and of course, we will provide the tools and the platform to enable you to deliver your projects in budget and on time. And oftentimes we see it does help the customers improve those KPIs as well.
Okay, thank you. Any particular partners you work with, or is it you've got plethora of partners? Do you want to name them?
So, like for example, construction in a box specifically is a partner-led solution. Okay. It's LTI. I mentioned it before. Larsen and Toubro. They're part of the Larsen and Toubro subsidiary. They're a subsidiary, right, of Larsen Toubro, and LA is like one of the largest project-based business. They're based out of India, but they have global presence, right? So they really know their stuff when it comes to construction. And because the LTI is like their infotech wing subsidiary of L&T, and they've implemented SAP across the L&T group, they also have deep domain knowledge of SAP solutions. So we've actually worked very closely with them to develop these extension solutions that I talk about. And the templatized implementation of S/4HANA Core, it's based on their IP. Partner specifically for construction in a box, it's LTI, but of course there are other partners who have similar solutions, and they work in that space as well. But for construction in a box, it's LTI that we've worked with, and we've worked with them pretty successfully, and we have a great relationship, and it's a good way, it's a good strategic partnership innovation story for both of us.
Okay. Let me quickly jump onto the questions. We're running short of time. And the first question comes from YouTube. It's from Mishal Ismail. Hi, Mishal. How are you?
Okay.
And your question goes, how can construction companies leverage on big data and AI, and which platforms, tools can teams get this data from?
That's a very good question, right? And I would respond to it through what is a common industry standard. I'm not sure if you've heard of CDE, which is a common data environment. And here we talk about the entire asset lifecycle, from all the way from planning to design to the build phase, and all the way to the handover and commissioning to maintenance and operations. And there, when you talk about data, what happens is, during the planning and the design phase, you have your architects that build, drawings, and then there's data around that. And then once that is finalized, it's kind of handed over to your construction contractors, and they then build these models from scratch. And there is a lot of loss in data and duplicated work around that. So in construction, a very important aspect of it is having this common data environment across the life cycle, all the way from planning to design, build, and handover and commissioning to operations and maintenance, right? And for that, what we have, and it is a part of this construction in a box kind of package. It's a new solution called Project Intelligence Network for construction. It's an SAP built solution. The MVP, a minimum viable product, is out there in the market. But basically, what it does is it's during the entire life cycle of the project, it is harnessing the power of data in the form of digital twin. Different objects within the digital twin, and the work you do around the execution of the project happens with the with the digital twin as the core. And that's where we use data to kind of harness the power of data to make sure we have a seamless process when it comes to construction execution.
Okay, perfect. So hope, Mishal, you got the answer. So I will now move on to LinkedIn, and because LinkedIn is not integrated with the system yet, I'll have to ask questions one by one from my iPad. Okay.
No problem.
So the first question is from, I'll go from here, Nabil Ismail. Hi, Nabil, how are you? Good to hear this is developed by construction companies. So there is a compliment. And Nabil Ismail says, good to hear that this is developed with construction companies. And Nabil is the Senior Project Development Manager at IB VOGT GmbH. Okay, that's one. Secondly, there is Mendu Chakrapani, and he says, great, I'm from the same field. Hi, Mendu, how are you? Good to know that you're from the same field. Mendu Chakrapani says, men, materials, machinery, money. These are the key mantras of construction. And he's also said optimum utilization is what drives a construction organization, along with disputes, claims, and arbitration.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And he's also said turnkey projects is what we should be looking at. And that's what I think construction in a box helps. Perfect. Another question from Nabil
Absolutely.
Ismail. He says, Nabil says, does this solution include inspection processes and handover of contractually, of handover of contractually obligated documents to operations? Mouthful. Hope you understand
That's
what he
actually a
said.
pretty good question. And yes, yes. So he sounds like someone who is definitely from the industry. So yeah, it does. So one of the mobile apps that I mentioned, it allows inspectors to kind of, site inspectors to go on and verify some of that information. And of course, in the document management, all the back and forth that you have, there's a collaboration software. So Project Intelligence Network is that allows you to make sure you have your information delivery schedule, and all of that is being tracked against the schedule. Yeah.
Okay. So, Nabil, hopefully you got the answer to your question. There's another question from Vijay Rai. He's the CEO of Visionary Business Technologies, people leader from Delhi NCR chapter. And his question is, what's the shape and structure of business models and organizations design that's going to be needed post-COVID, especially the job skills versus numbers? A very, very interesting question.
Yeah. So, I mean, the gravity of the situation is, and unfortunately, that is true in a lot of the countries. Um, all major construction works are either being delayed or stopped,
Mhm.
right? And unfortunately, I think the biggest challenge that construction companies will face is at this time, what's happening, labor sitting around, right? They kind of have nothing to do in a way, right? And what do you do with those resources now that they don't have anything to do, right? So how do you utilize them? And a critical factor is demobilizing all of that labor and equipment on site is a challenge. But once we recover, remobilizing that is going to be even more challenging, right? Because you've probably lost a lot of skilled labor in the process. They've probably gone back to their, if that were possible, to their hometowns or home countries. And a lot of the labor on site, to remobilize them, you have to plan in advance. But you cannot plan in advance because you don't really know when it's going to happen. And there are tools and processes that can help you do that. But this remobilization effort and to have that contingency plan in place is going to be critical to be able to ramp up operations and construction works very quickly.
Thank you. Hopefully, Vijay, you got the answer to your question, but I totally agree with you. Remobilization will be really, really important and will be difficult because the skilled labor that you were using before pre-COVID may not be available, and there will be the expertise may just get lost, and it'll be difficult to get them back. And I think that's a very, very valid point, Shenaz. Vijay, hopefully you got your answer. Okay. People are not stopping with the questions. There are more coming. Next question from Facebook. Rosario SK. Hi, Rosario. How are you? He says, thanks for the initiative. This brings in a better visibility. And thank you, Rosario. Thank you for watching. The next question from YouTube. And that says, SAP. This is Azhar Preena. Hi, Azhar. How are you? He says, SAP has been known to scale down solutions to target SMEs, for example, SAP by design. Would SAP consider creating a solution that could cater to smaller projects?
That's a good question. And I would ask, how small are we talking about? So the construction in a box, it's a cloud solution, right? So you don't need, in a way, it's not the old school kind of model where you have to spend a lot of money to get your ERP installed in your systems and get it up and running. So it's a pretty modular, nimble in a way solution, and it can cater to projects of all sizes, right? So and our direction is really construction in a box. Specifically, the solution is with S4HANA, and it can cater to even projects of all sizes, even though they're small projects.
Okay, good. Hopefully, Azhar, you got the answer to your question. As it is in the cloud, I'm assuming that this won't be that expensive, and the smaller businesses and SMEs would be able to utilize the functionality and all the smart stuff that Shenaz and her team are building. Thanks for asking that question. That was very pertinent because I know that most of the construction guys are not large organizations. They're small organizations who've come up going forward.
Yeah. And there's actually also been recent changes in how we kind of bundle the solutions on the core that we have for construction projects. And with that new bundling, it is better from a affordability point of view for our customers.
Okay, so let me just extend that question a bit to you, Shenaz. If someone wants to get engaged and get one of the solutions from you, Construction in a Box, for their organization, do they reach out to you directly?
Well, I would first suggest if you already have someone you talk to in SAP, you probably have an AE or an account executive at SAP. You probably reach out to them first, and they will know to reach out to me and the right people for the content. And if you don't have any existing account executive that you're talking to for SAP, then of course feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll be able to point you in the right direction.
So the next thing is, guys, who all are watching this, if you want to connect, you can connect her through LinkedIn and also follow her. So that's it. Next question is from Rosario. He said, thank you for the initiative, but he's asked a question. He says, Rosario SK says, I have a question. With the current and upcoming economic condition, how do you see the growth on S4HANA implementations? And I would imagine he's asking within the construction space.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? First and foremost, the focus for SAP is the health and well-being of its people, right? People like you, people like me, and the health and well-being of the customers and the partners. So the way we approach this situation that we're facing today is going to be it's going to be telltale of the culture that you probably also know what the culture that SAP stands by. So and given that, I think naturally there'll be some impact, right, on growth of not just implementation, but on the on how the growth happens in general. But nobody can predict by how much or what that growth would be. And the only thing that I would say is our focus is really the well-being of the people, and that includes, of course, employees and everyone in the ecosystem that is part of that family, right, including customers and partners.
Okay, that's it. And I think I have gone severely over time. It was a pleasure having you. I think this is one of the most innovative session I've had, with so many questions and with so many interesting thoughts coming through. Thank you very much. And it was a pleasure having you here.
You're welcome, Shalindra, and have a good day and stay safe and take care of yourself and your family.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
So that was Shenaz Bilkis, and I think that was the most innovative session I had. She had some great thoughts, and I think because she comes from the industry and she's lived and breathed the construction industry, I think she could come up with some great insights and some great ideas. She's a great asset to SAP, I must say. So thank you all for watching us, and I hope you enjoyed the session. And I could see that because there are lots of people constantly watching this. So in the future, I'll be back next week again. This weekend is a Easter weekend, so we'll be on holidays, but we'll be back after holidays with another session in the Intelligent Technologies Marathon series. And I will be back most likely on Wednesday, if I'm not wrong, with another guest. For you to watch this particular episode and other episodes live, please follow me on various properties which you've seen. And yeah, thank you for being here. And thank you very much for watching us. I'll be back next week, same time. See you soon.